Hey, this is Juan Tutors. I'm making my very first terrarium with you guys. I'm really excited to make it. You may notice that my bookshelves are completely empty except for this one terrarium. The truth is that I'm moving out of New York City, the city that has given me so much experience. I've lived here for a full third of my life. I've made a career out of this city, but I'm buying a house, my very first house in the suburbs, and I'm really excited about it. And I will continue to work in New York City, but I will not be living here anymore. And why not take my time to go outside today and take a little bit of this city that has given me so much with me. So that's exactly what I did. I made this terrarium and I want to show you how I did it. I'm really excited about this new step in my life. So click the subscribe button if you want to wish me good luck, and I'll see it when you do that. If you want to build your own terrarium, you could actually go through the same process that I did. So the first thing I did was I went to the 99-cent store. I looked at a couple of jars. The smallest terrarium that I've ever seen is actually 1.5 ounces. And the largest that I've ever seen is the size of a bunch of football fields. So they really can be any size that you want. The only thing that you need is that the jar really kind of has to be airtight and it has to be transparent. You don't want colored glass because the light will not go through enough and the plants in there will not survive. And also you want to be able to see what's going on in there. So I bought my jar, I drove over to the park, and I walked by a whole bunch of kids playing games with their masks on. If you're from the future, the reason is that we're in the middle of a global pandemic, but it doesn't mean that we can't be safe. We just wear masks, we go out, we maintain social distance from other people, at least 6 feet apart, and we make sure to wear masks when we're around other people. So the first thing I did once I got to the park, I went and got a bunch of pebbles. So these first few pebbles, and 17 minutes later, and I have a false bottom. What this false bottom does is it allows for some drainage so that when there's water coming down, the water will drip to the bottom. After this, I got dirt from under plants. The reason I got them from under plants is that the soil under these plants is teeming with life. You may not see any critters crawling around here, but there are a lot. They just aren't active right now, and trust me, they're unavoidable. They will appear later on. The key is to get live soil in your terrarium. The first bit of soil that I got was from under some grass, but I thought it was a little bit dry. So the second bit of soil that I got was from right at the base of a tree. I moved over some leaves and I pulled up some plants and I dug under those plants to get some dirt. I noticed that I got some good creepy crawlies. You see some earthworms. Earthworms are actually an invasive species in New York, so they went in the jar, and that's just a few less crawling around. They do help to aerate the soil, and at this point it would be very tough for New York City or the United States to get rid of earthworms. They really are kind of everywhere. Now, I didn't see any other creepy crawlies here, but there probably are some that I just didn't notice. In the process of digging here, Jelly noticed that there is a compost heap. It happens to be that creepy crawlies love living under leaves. So I went over there, moved over as many leaves as I could, got under the dirt. First thing I saw was a slimy critter. I don't know what it is. I think it was a slug, but... Oh, where'd it go? You see what I'm on?
No.
I lost it. But when I went to look for it again, I came across some really cool mushrooms, and they're probably not edible, but they may make a cool addition to my terrarium. I hope that they play nice with everything that's gonna go in there. I have not seen terrariums made with mushrooms intentionally introduced, so I introduced those, and hopefully it goes well. I dug up some more dirt, and when I felt like I had enough, I then started going for plants. Now the key is you want to have as many different plants as you can get. Why? Even though your ecosystem is derived from your local ecosystem, you don't know the effects that the limited species that you got for your terrarium will have on the rest of the terrarium. It shot out a root and then made more plants. So this should be good. The truth is that after the fact, I noticed that there were a lot more than I even noticed the first time around. So maybe on my next try, I will be able to recognize more species and get more species in my terrarium. But this one has actually quite a few. I got as many as I could find. There is one, I wish I got to film this one right here. This tall one reaches all the way to the top and goes all the way down. This one was actually growing in the concrete between two slabs. I was really excited to get it. I figured such a hardy plant growing in such an inhospitable place must be good for my terrarium. So now the terrarium's home. I'm really excited to have it here. I'm not done yet. I got one more step in the process. I need to open it to give it some water, and I want to clean it one more time before I close it up for good. I do want to also put a bit of saran wrap on top and put a pebble on top of that, so that as the water evaporates and condenses on the top, it'll then drip back down. So here I am with the star of the show being the terrarium. This is actually where I teach, where I do my tutoring. So I am right on the desk. It's not a laptop, so I left it here. And I have my water bottle and a pair of chopsticks. I'm hoping that I can actually get in there. The mushrooms here are actually laying on their side. I don't think that they'll have any trouble there. They're a fungi. I think they'll figure themselves out. I took them with roots and all. But there's some plants that I didn't get to dig in. Like you'll notice this plant, my favorite here, that one that I saw growing in concrete. I wish that I had dug it into the dirt when I had the chance. Ooh, and there's actually a little creepy crawly there. I don't want to say that too loud because I don't want Jeff to know that I'm opening this with creepy crawlies going around. Shh, don't tell. But here's a decorative stick. This stick also goes all the way to the bottom. I put it there because it's decorative. 2, it gives it some depth. 3, as water condenses, the water has a path to the false bottom. The false bottom is mostly covered, but that's okay. Dirt is going to go down there. It'll still allow for great drainage. Okay, you'll notice that the dirt color is different. The lighter colored dirt is where I was digging for dirt and creepy crawlies under the grass. I gave up there because I felt that was just a bit too dry and the soil didn't feel alive. It wasn't moist at all. So this is where the soil from the tree came from, and next to the tree, so you'll see that soil is much more alive. I did get a little bit of soil from next to the compost heap, but not very much. I just got whatever kind of came with the plants, and I did take a little bit of that soil in the hopes that I would get more of the crawlies with me. I know that was probably the most live soil that I came in contact with. And you'll see that I have a lot of species of plants. I don't know any of the names of these species, but there's a plant right there. There's some grass growing right there. There's my favorite plant right there. And there's a different type of grass there, and there are other plants in there that we can't see. There's a 3-leaf clover that reaches all the way down. Here's another 3-leaf clover. It's a little bit crushed, so I'm hoping that it works out. So right now what I want to do is I'm gonna open this and spray it with some water. This angle seems to be the best angle that I can get with the camera. Here's my workout equipment. Maybe I'll do some pull-ups to celebrate. And that ball right there, that white thing right there, is what I use for lighting. And here is the terrarium. I hope that you could see this clearly. Let me tap there so you can get it. I'm a little bit blurry, but you can see the terrarium clearly. So what I want to do is I want to spray it down with water. Now this water came from the New York City tap. Ideally, I would have some distilled water. Normally, tap water has a lot of chlorine in it, but I did pass it through a Brita a couple of times, and that should do a lot. And also, the Brita actually has activated charcoal in it. I kind of wish I had some activated charcoal for this thing, but unfortunately, I didn't have access to that either. I wanted to make this kind of as cheaply as possible, and so the only thing that I really paid for was this jar. The whole thing cost me less than $5. I am gonna open this now, and I'm gonna spray it. And now this is safe for everything in there. It's a very, very thin, light mist that I'm spraying. Now I did notice that a lot of the plants, a lot of the soil was actually quite dry, but I did create somewhat of a false bottom. So the false bottom gives me the ability to put a little bit more water than I maybe normally would. And I don't see any critters hopping out of here, so that's a good thing. Now, I'm putting in here more water than maybe I normally would have because the soil being so dry. Some of that soil could probably take in some of the water and then end up drying out the rest of the terrarium. Now I'm going to spray also on the glass. Close that for a second. Okay, that was pretty fun. So I closed it up for a second so I can get a better view of it. I didn't see anything kind of hop out, so I am gonna take a chance to clean the glass a little bit. And while I'm doing this, again, the way that I do this for free, but the way I make money is by you subscribing. And of course, subscribing does let me know that you're wishing me good luck in my new process of getting the new house and kind of building it to where I want it to be. So please do hit the subscribe button. That helps me a tremendous amount. I also have a link to a Patreon. The Patreon money is not going to me. When I have enough money, let's probably around $500, I will be starting a scholarship fund. So that scholarship fund is going to go to graduating seniors. Basically me trying to spread some of the luck that I've had to other students. So if you could see this is a bit dirty, so I actually did do a good thing by wiping the glass. I want to take this plant, my favorite here. I want to make sure I dig it into the dirt so that it gets some soil. There we go. Okay. I want to see if I can get this fungus. Okay, I don't want to damage it. Okay, I changed my mind. I was going to try to get this rotated vertically, but I already damaged a couple of them over here. So I'm deciding not to move those. I'm calling this the back because I think this is going to be the back for me. A lot of the plants in the back already are touching the soil, so I'm going to leave those there. Okay, I saw a little thing there, so I'm going to close this now. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a top here. And by the way, I'm going to have you guys, the viewers, name this terrarium. It's my very first. I'm excited about it. So I'm going to have you guys name it for me. So post your names in the comments. Let me know what you think I should name it. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting some saran wrap on top and I'm denting it a bit, if you could see that. And then I'm putting a tiny pebble right there. So what that's going to do is that as condensation builds up on top, it'll roll down to that point and then it'll drip down. I'm hoping that you guys are thinking up names. You could actually post the names that you think of for this terrarium right now. I am closing this up for what will likely be the very last time. So I am turning this. I'm going to grab my scissors, which are absolutely too large for this task, and I'm going to cut off the remaining saran wrap. So the terrarium is sealed and it's never going to be opened again. Alright, so let me know what you think I should name it. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like in the next few days, the next few weeks, and the next few months. If you want to wish me good luck, click the subscribe button. Click the like button if you like this video. Definitely stick around, alright? Ooh, look at him! That's our little friend right there.